on Nightside, the story that made national headlines this year about the man who literally got run down by a police car now gets a new perspective from the man himself, what he had to say about the incident.
Also on News 11, Arizona Superintendent of Public Instruction came to hear the concerns of the K-12 education system as part of a statewide tour, what parents had to say.
And a man in Blythe is being held responsible for a toddler who's in critical condition tonight. We'll tell you what charges he's facing. Nightside begins right now.
Live from the KYMA studios, covering Yuma and the Imperial Valley, this is Nightside on KYMA News 11.
Good evening, everyone. Arizona is number 43 out of 50 states when it comes to education, according to a national poll done on graduation rates. Naturally, teachers and parents alike have many concerns about the quality of their children's education.
Today, Arizona Superintendent of Public Instruction launched her We Are Listening tour, where parents, educators, students, and administrators address their issues with the K-12 education system.
As part of her We Are Listening tour, the Superintendent of Public Instruction, Diane Douglas, came to Yuma Thursday. This is her first time in Yuma County, and she has come to address the concerns parents and educators alike have about the current state of K-12 education. Douglas has been involved in several controversial conflicts regarding Common Core, a nationwide state standards initiative. She has been a strong opponent, which is one of her main running points in her campaign.
The Arizona standards, she has been someone who campaigned as being against those standards earlier, and so I think there will probably be people that will wish to want to be heard on that particular topic.
Giant sucking sound can be bright and talented kids who are leaving Arizona and not coming back.
Recently, state lawmakers have rejected a bill that would have gotten rid of Common Core standards. It's one of the issues she addressed at the We Are Listening tour.
Well, hopefully she does a good job of not only listening, but taking notes and recording what people in Yuma have to say.
Douglas says she's dedicated to improving the state of education in Arizona through conversations with the people it most directly affects.
Well, for the first time, we are hearing from the Arizona man who was run down by a police squad car earlier this year on purpose. The video of the incident made national headlines, and we want to warn you, if you haven't seen it yet, it's pretty graphic.
Marissa Mendelson has the police interview with the man as he was still in the hospital.
When Mario Valencia was run down by a Marana police officer's squad car, police say it was the end to a day-long crime spree.
Well, if I had to guess, I'd say it probably is connected to your use of meth.
2 days after the crash, detectives attempt to interview Valencia as he's handcuffed to a hospital bed.
Do you remember anything that happened to you on Thursday?
Honestly, I don't even know how I ended up in here.
The interviewer then detailed a day-long crime spree. Valencia said he didn't remember any of the allegations, which included robbing a convenience store, stealing a car, and breaking into a church.
And you went into a room and you tried to light some stuff on fire.
Eventually, the detective said Valencia drove to Marana and stole a rifle and ammo from Walmart.
Where you promptly got hit by a police car because you were walking around with a rifle.
The Maricopa County Sheriff's Office says officers seized a load of marijuana and made multiple arrests at a Gila Bend area, where a violent drug-related incident took place 1 day earlier. Authorities on Monday responded to a reported shooting and found 2 men fatally shot and 2 others wounded. The Sheriff's Office says 10 people have been arrested and 461 pounds of marijuana seized in the same area. Well, it's been another intense and emotional night in Baltimore. Protesters in the community are on edge and demanding answers after the death of Freddie Gray.
Also tonight, details from a man who says he was in a police van with Gray the day he was arrested. Jay Gray has the latest from Boston.
Anger and emotion boiling over again in Baltimore tonight. To this point, there's been no answer to their question and very little information.
We have exhausted every lead at this point in time.
Today, as the task force investigating Freddie Gray's death turned over its findings to state prosecutors, police acknowledged the van transporting Gray the day he was severely injured made 4 stops on the way to a police substation, not 3 as they originally indicated.
This new stop was discovered from a privately owned camera.
A report in the Washington Post citing a sealed police document says that a prisoner briefly in the van with Gray, but separated by a metal partition, heard him banging against the walls and that he was intentionally trying to injure himself. Dante Allen was the man on the other side of that van wall. He says he never saw Gray, and all that he heard was
this little, boom, boom, this little banging.
He also denies ever saying Gray was trying to hurt himself. Instead, he implicates police.
When I got to the police station, I heard them saying, well, y'all, we gave him a run for his money, basically saying they did something to him, man.
And as a curfew began here for the 3rd straight night, protesters clearing the streets but promising they won't go anywhere until all of their questions are answered.
Protest organizers say the marches will continue here and across the country through the weekend. The police and National Guard will stay at their post and say the curfew will continue as long as necessary. Jay Gray, NBC News, Baltimore.
Well, the Coalition for Life is inviting the Imperial Valley to join them in a baby shower. They're asking you to donate baby items or even cash.
News 11's Milrose Bosco tells us how these donations will help local parents. Well, we hit a new heating level for 2015 as everyone in our area has felt the 100+ degree temperatures, especially me.
Oh yeah, even more so than yesterday. Will the sizzle be sizzling even more as we get on in the days ahead? That's a big question I think a lot of people at home might be asking at this juncture. As you can see, the Yuma Rehabilitation Hospital Sky Camp, 4th Avenue in Yuma. Still some traffic out on the road and a beautiful night as far as the look is concerned, but we are a little bit on the warm side. Improvement from a few hours ago, but still, yeah, we're kind of hanging around in as high as high 70s to high end 80s. That's the temperature spectrum that we're dealing with here in the desert Southwest. As far as your daytime highs concerns, yeah, we were up and away to say the least. We were at just about near record level high temperatures. So yeah, how do you like them apples? Those are hot apples, that's for sure. Mild conditions the rest of this evening. We'll get more of that heat tomorrow, and that heat will be letting off in the coming days. We'll tell you how much and how soon, coming up in just a little while.
Thanks, Rob. Well, Cinco de Mayo falls on a weekday this year, so the city of Yuma is hosting a block party on Friday instead. Tomorrow at 6 p.m., you can head downtown Yuma to transform the city. Lots of live entertainment, booths, and food vendors will be there. Kids can enjoy jumpers and even a mini pool to cool off in, not the fountain. And adults can celebrate with fresh sangria, margaritas, and beer. All this fun comes at a time when winter visitors have left, which means a possible boost for local business.
Our downtown area is really bustling right now. We have a lot of really nice boutique shops that we really want people to come down and shop at. We want to please our existing customers and get new ones. That's always the goal. So as much exposure as we can get, the better for everybody down here too, not just us.
The city of Yuma hopes the Cinco de Mayo event will benefit businesses along Main Street and in turn the community. That's definitely something I'd like to see. Well, coming up after the break, a lot of people had given up hope of finding anybody else alive in the rubble. But we'll bring you the story of one teenager who survived 5 days buried under debris.
And the end of the springtime Yuma tradition has come. We'll tell you how the Jazz Series is making a difference in the lives of 2 up-and-coming musicians right after this.
Your favorite talk shows are on News Talk 560 KBLU. America's Morning News at 5 a.m., Rush at 9, Sean at noon, and Glenn at 3. News Talk 560 KBLU, where Yuma comes to talk.
From the KYMA studios, covering Yuma and the Imperial Valley, this is KYMA News 11.
Welcome back. What seemed to be a bleak mission turned into a moment of joy today when rescuers in Nepal recovered a teenage boy who had survived 5 days buried under debris.
An amazing story indeed. Despite the rise in spirits, NBC's Ian Williams reports that a lack of information from remote areas affected by Saturday's massive quake has many concerned.
A lot of people here had really given up hope of finding anybody else alive in the rubble, but that incredible rescue today, those remarkable scenes, a 15-year-old boy pulled out from the rubble with the help, of course, from a U.S. rescue team, have really done a much-needed boost to flagging spirits in this city.
I think it's a miracle, and I think it's an amazing, amazing thing to see in the midst of all of this calamity.
There is still considerable concern about what's happened to villages close to the epicenter. Very little information has come from those villages, even now, days after the quake. Here in Kathmandu, I joined an assessment team that's been visiting some of the many dozens of camps that house displaced people across this city. What they found is that many of those people are now returning to their homes. They'd been staying in those camps out of fear of aftershocks. Now they feel more confident to go home. What the aid workers are trying to do now is figure out what they need, with a priority being given to shelter, to health concerns, to water and food. As if to underline those concerns, one of the biggest hospitals here in Kathmandu today reported more than 1,000 cases of waterborne disease, which they blamed on people living in unsanitary conditions. Ian Williams, NBC News, Kathmandu.
Well, turning our attention more to local things, this evening marked the end of the Spring Jazz Series at the Yuma Palms Village, presented by News 11. Well, those who didn't mind the tents not only got to listen to music, but saw a special check presentation. 2 local high school students received $1,000 each to further their love for music. For the past 2 years, the Yuma Palms has chosen local musicians aspiring to further their education in the area of music. Maureen Gennard with Yuma Palms told News 11 why they felt this was important.
We feel this educational award will give them just a little bit of pop when it comes to their tuition, and they're able to, it maybe kind of eases a little bit of the financial liability. The arts are important. The arts are where the people are. The arts here in Yuma are important, and we are a supporter of them.
We are usually provide $1,000, and for the first time we have chosen to award both the maximum $1,000.
High school student. This year's panelists could decide between the top 2 and decided, oh well, we'll get them both that $1,000. Good indeed. All right, well, they're calling it the fight of the century, the bout between the 2 biggest names in boxing, Floyd Mayweather Jr. and Manny Pacquiao.
This weekend, in the richest match in history, they will determine at long last which one of them is the best. NBC's Ron Mott has the story.
Good things come to those who wait, especially boxers Floyd Mayweather Jr. and Manny Pacquiao. After years of flirting, boxing's 2 biggest draws finally set a date, Saturday night. And with a record pot of gold at stake, there are no losers here.
We love the fans from around the world that have supported this event. You know, I appreciate you guys. I'm pretty sure Manny appreciates you guys also.
Mayweather, considered the world's highest paid athlete, is nicknamed Money and is slated to earn 60% of the purse, $150 million, maybe more. A super payday driven into record territory by extraordinary demand. Pacquiao, a congressman in his home country, the Philippines, is also forecast to collect a 9-figure check. So popular, the fight has been declared a national holiday there.
What would a victory Saturday night mean to you personally and to your country?
It's meant a lot for me and for my country.
Most of the purse will come from pay-per-view, a predicted 3 million buys at $99 in the U.S., though free to see in Pacquiao's Philippines. Add in ticket sales of $72 million, surpassing even the Super Bowl, international broadcasts, watch parties at bars, sponsorships, and merchandising, a total take approaching a staggering $360 million, a conservative estimate by some projections.
It's going to be Mayweather.
I like Pacquiao.
The fight of the century is a marketing bonanza. T-shirts and hats are moving quickly, fans lining up behind their man, with one question left to answer. Is Pacquiao the fighter who will, at last, beat the undefeated Mayweather? Ron Mott, NBC News, Las Vegas.
Well, do you plan on watching this fight?
You know, I'm going to try to, and, you know, I've been asked by many people in the office, who's going to win this thing?
Yeah.
And I really can't give a straight answer because in my head I'm thinking it's Mayweather, but my heart's pulling for Pacquiao. So either which way, should be a good fight.
So how highly anticipated is this fight?
I don't think there's been a fight as anticipated as this as far as what I remember. I mean, I grew up in the Tyson era, Sugar Ray Leonard era as well. Those were big fights back then, but this is huge.
Okay then. Well, tune in, guys. Well, a week and a half after the Cibola wrestler signs a letter of intent, one of his teammates does the same thing. We'll tell you who it is and where he's going coming up in sports.
And your weather is sizzling, at least during the day. We still have some pretty decent nights ahead of us in the desert Southwest. Whew. But will there be more sizzle in the week ahead? We'll let you know.
Well, here it is, the end of April, Rob. And what are with these triple-degree temperatures? It really feels hotter than last year's April, or am I just...
Well, yeah, I think it all evens out because we had some hot portions last year. This year, obviously, we're getting it right now, and we've had some cool portions as well last weekend, case in point. So it's kind of fluctuated, and this is the kind of time, the time of year that it kind of does that. So, yeah, we're getting our hot days, and we'll get another one for Friday before we start to kind of slow that down a little bit and go down a little in the temperature department. But certainly nothing like what we experienced last weekend. Yeah. That would be nice if we can get back to that. But here's what we're looking at with your Yuma Rehabilitation Hospital Sky Cam. And yeah, we have still a little bit of traffic out in downtown Yuma. Here's what we're looking at with your temperatures at this point of the nights. Some of us in the mid 70s and some of us in the high end 80s. So we got a little bit of a spectrum going on throughout our area. But albeit, however you slice it, it's warmer than what it should be. Case in point, 102 degrees outside, near record high, somebody. Yeah, that's pretty close to that record set back during World War II, 1943. Of course, that was just one of the years that World War II took place, but 102 is what we got to in El Centro as well, and just 3 degrees off record territory there. Right now, we're looking at 82 degrees in Yuma, very light wind speeds, and that manageable moisture content that we usually have. 83 outside in El Centro, and maybe just a little bit of wind push out of the west at 11 miles an hour. The dynamic of this is the high pressure ridge, obviously in charge for the moment, but within the next few days, it's going to be pushed aside a little bit because we have an incoming disturbance that won't be making a direct hit on the desert Southwest, much to our chagrin, but it will be bringing in at least some cooler air to kind of neutralize the hot air that we're experiencing at this point. So as far as your temperature dynamic is concerned, you see the milder orange, kind of indicative of the hotter temperatures. But when we get into the yellows, that kind of allows I guess you can say that's just an indication of a little bit less heat. So we are going to be warm instead of hot as we get on into next week. So we'll definitely take that, especially as we get on into the month of May. Now, here's what we're looking at for the next 24 hours. We're going to be kind of ranging it from the overnight to tomorrow during the day and then back into the overnight again. As you can see, not much different. If anything, by the time we get to tomorrow afternoon, we'll have a little bit less heat, but not by much. So some of us will be still enjoying those triple-digit temperatures. 70 degrees overnight tonight, very minimal wind speeds the rest of this night in Yuma, and we'll get into the high-end 60s in El Centro with mostly clear conditions. Gotta love that. For your extended forecast, we're going to be looking at some heat for the next couple of days before we drop it down a notch or 2 or 3 or 4. So we are getting down into the low end 90s, which is a difference maker considering we've just got to the 100. So we're going to drop 10 degrees within the next several days, which will feel more comfortable for us. And keep in mind, these temperatures are closer to our average than what we're currently enjoying right now. So this is going to be a nice refresher for us again as we get into May, and of course some of us will be dealing with the breezes as well. All right, well, coming up next in sports, the first round of the NFL draft is now done, son. We'll bring you our recap with a few surprises involved right after this. The NFL Draft completes its first night. Welcome back, everyone. Even though the first few selections came as no surprise to anybody, there were some unexpected twists and turns in the first round as it progressed. For starters, the San Diego Chargers made a big move, making a trade with San Francisco to select Wisconsin's Melvin Gordon with the 15th overall pick in the draft. A great get for the Bolts, who lost Ryan Matthews in the offseason. Another surprise, an ASU Sun Devil was taken in the first round. That wasn't the surprise. What it wasn't Jalen Strong. ASU safety Demarius Randall was taken by Green Bay with the 30th overall pick. Here are the draft picks of note for the first round. Tampa Bay and Tennessee started the draft off with quarterbacks, nabbing Jameis Winston and Marcus Mariota, respectively. Those were definitely not the surprises. This, while Oakland lands the top receiver in the draft, as in Alabama's Amari Cooper, while the Cards selected offensive lineman DJ Humphries with the 24th pick in the entire draft. Moving on to the local scene, the newly named Frontera United men's semi-pro soccer team is on the cusp of beginning its all-important exhibition season. That will be a total of 9 games that will span from May to the end of July. 8 of those games will be played right in Yuma, and the support of the local community will be crucial for Frontera's future in the Yuma area beyond this summer. Head coach Kenny Dale stopped by News 11 earlier today to expound on the historic importance of this weekend's first game.
If you're looking for local flavor and high school legends of yesteryear, I think this is a great team for you to follow. We've got a lot of the best players. If you look at the all-city lists for the last 10 years or so, a lot of the names you'll see are names playing on the Frontera United roster as well. Just hope all the fans will come out and support us. These are your sons, your brothers, your husbands that are playing in this game, the first ever high-level soccer game in Yuma and the first game in Desert Sun Stadium.
Frontera United will play its first ever game this Saturday at Desert Sun Stadium, as Coach Dale mentioned, as they take on the OC Crew out of Southern California. The game gets started at 6 p.m. General admission is $5. Premier seating is $10, while kids 12 and under, well, they get in for absolutely no charge. Well, only 10 days after Cibola star wrestler Andy Gandara signed his letter of intent to play for Cal Poly, one of his teammates made a similar declaration earlier today. In a celebration or ceremony at Cibola High School, Joshua Olson signed on the dotted line, as you can see there, essentially taking his wrestling talents to the University of Wisconsin Parkside, an NCAA Division II school. Olson has an impressive overall record of 138 wins and 33 losses and has had 2 third-place finishes in state competition, also helping the Raiders win the state team title the last 2 years. Olson tells News 11 Sports why he chose to become a Ranger.
I've had numerous college coaches contact me, and some made some pretty good offers. So it was just basically about deciding where I want to take my wrestling. If I want to take it to the NAIA or NCAA's Division II, I've always dreamed of wrestling in NCAA's, and now I have the chance, so I'm taking it.
Olson's goal is to help the Rangers win Division II national titles every year he's there. Switching over to prep tennis, both Yuma area representatives fell short in their respective first rounds of the Division II tournament. For the Cibola boys, sophomore Bo Boyer was the sole winner, taking both of his sets. Meanwhile, the Gila Ridge girls had quite a playoff run, but they were shut out Wednesday at top-seeded Arcadia. We at News 11 Sports would like to congratulate both programs on an outstanding season. Congratulations to them. Well, one final note to pass along. AWC Baseball lost its opening best-of-3 game to Yavapai. The Matadors will play Game 2 tomorrow. It's a win or go home for them. All right, we're done with this round of sports. Molly, back to you.
Thanks, Rob. Well, still to come on Nightside, law enforcement in the southeast makes the most unusual catch. We'll explain what that is right after the break. Stay with us.
Just in case you missed our 8-day forecast, well, we're going to give you a nice little repeat. All right, as far as what we're looking at in Yuma for the next 8 days, we're going to keep the heat through the first half of the weekend, and then we start to simmer those temperatures down a bit because of the latest disturbance bringing in some cool air mixing in with the hot air, and that's going to give us more of a warm feeling So we'll get down into the low-end 90s, which will be a treat compared again to what we're experiencing now. As far as the Imperial Valley is concerned, yeah, we'll get right back into the 90s habit pretty quick as well. Even the overnights starting to settle down into the low-end 60s and maybe even the high-end 50s in some respects. And we might even have a day of high-end 80-degree temperatures, which is becoming fewer and fewer by the day. So any day that we get 80s at this point is considered a blessing here in the desert Southwest for sure. All right, well, deputies in Pinellas County, Florida helped wrangle a three-legged alligator that was discovered on the side of the road Thursday morning. Deputies responded to a call about a gator on the side of the road before 8 a.m.
Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission spokesperson Gary Moore says the gator was not injured, and recently the loss of one of its legs happened from a previous injury. An alligator trapper says that the 10-foot-long gator would be taken to a farm and would not be destroyed. Well, thank goodness.
Well, 4 legs or 3, that thing is dangerous.
That's for sure. Glad we don't have those here.
No, yeah, me too.
Thanks for watching, guys. See you tomorrow.
Have a great night, folks.